So I'm really glad that you guys are here with me still now, and it means that you have taken interest in the course and you're going through the different topics and sessions that we have been explaining regarding Islam and the practices. So we are describing the third pillar of Islam, which is fasting, and which is a very important one because Muslim fast throughout the month of Ramadan. So the Arabic word for fasting is called som, and which means abstaining from food and drink, but it's not really limited to abstaining from food and drink. So there are many other things that a Muslim have to abstain from in order to develop character strength and be upright morally and ethically. And we can talk about those things in a little bit later as we go through the explanation of the material. So in Quran, there's a verse in chapter 2, verse 183 that says that Ya ayyuhallazina amanu kutiba alaykumus siyamu, that we have prescribed for you fasting. Kama kutiba alal lazina min qablikum, as we have prescribed this for people before you or the generation before you. So you can see from this particular verse that we drive this concept of fasting is not necessarily a very new concept that was introduced to the Muslims and that they follow, but it was something that was very old, and fasting has been there for many, many years and generation and many faith traditions before Muslims, but the nature of fasting is different. So we'll go into an explanation, and you can check the session out where I talk about fasting in different tradition and how it's different, like in Judaism, Christianity, in Hinduism. So there is some difference between fasting and the focus. But let's actually pay attention here to the way the Muslim fast. So this is not like I said, it's not a new concept. It's been there for many, many generations. Muslims are expected to fast from dawn to sunset during the month of Ramadan, and it's the 9th month of the lunar calendar. So for fasting, Muslims actually refrain not only from food but liquid and also sexual activities. And what is the purpose for fasting? So the purpose for fasting is to attain purification of soul. Now, you will hear me throughout the course that I'd be using these terms, maybe purification of soul, a couple of times, and I want to clarify that. What does that mean? There's a whole different subject and books written on this topic. If anyone is interested, you can send me a message and I can give you the link of the books that kind of explain the concept even more in detail. But I can briefly summarize it and explain it to you. So the summary is that purification of soul is basically a concept in which we try to overcome some of the negative tendencies and desires that are found within. Now, nothing is not wrong really in desires. You know, it's good to have desire, but there are some desires which are negative and some which are positive. So we should be able to make that distinction and be able to eradicate those things which are causing harm to ourselves within our soul, or negative tendencies or egoistic characteristics or egoistic traits. So basically purification of soul is a process in which you engage actively in eliminating those negative tendencies and desires and egoistic traits from within you. So that's what it's called. The term used for that is purification of soul. So fasting has multiple purpose. That's one, that purification of soul. The second one is to have like self-control and discipline, to have and to be able to practice self-regulation, our own action, behavior, and thoughts. So be able to aware of what kind of actions we are engaging in, what are the kind of results that is produced, and the behavior. So we have like more self-management and self-regulation skills that Muslims develop through that, and to be compassionate toward those who are less fortunate. So it's one thing to really say that we help poor people, and we do, and that arises out of compassion and mercy that we feel towards others or towards animals or any being. But to be honest, like once you go through the process of not eating and drinking for a long period of time, you kind of feel how others feel. You kind of feel how poor feel if they don't get food or drink, or any of the basic needs are not met. So it's supposed to make you more compassionate toward those who are less fortunate, and to be able to share with them your blessings, share with them your material blessings, and be able to provide them food, drink, shelter, or any other kind of help that you can. It's more like creating those or cultivating those habits and characteristics of mercy and humility towards other people. So as you can see here that Now, who are those people for, like, fasting? Is that recommended for everyone? Actually, it's recommended for all those who are healthy, but people who are sick, who have serious kind of medical condition or sickness, and people who are traveling, women who are pregnant or nursing are exempt from fasting. So it's not, it's, even though it's obligatory, that doesn't mean that one has to cause harm in any way to fulfill this kind of obligation. So there are situations in which you can be exempt. Children who are under the age are not supposed to fast, but they would, with their families, try to fast and be able to, practice that. And there is a section in which I talked about, like, why children fast and what's the benefit of it. And you can look through that, read through the material, and if there's any question, send me a message and I'll be happy to answer you. But there are different benefits that we will go into that when we will talk about, like, what are the spiritual benefits of fasting and what are the physical benefits and things like that. So none of them are compelled to fast if they have any kind of, like, sickness going on, medical condition going on, or people who are traveling are exempt from it, elderly who are really weak, or people with disability are all excused from fasting.